I think patriarchy really stunts thinking because so many posts that I see, so many arguments that I see seem to be about black and white thinking. Like there's only two choices in these posts. Either the woman is submissive or she's trying to be dominant. Either she's a Madonna, basically pristine and celibate, or she's out here in the streets and she's, ran through. Either she wants kids, a lot of them, and wants to be a stay-at-home mom, or she doesn't want kids at all and she's not feminine. She doesn't know her purpose is to have kids. It's like, what happened to adulthood? When kids are growing up, and I've raised two children, I've taught school for over 31 years and retired for a little while and came back and started doing workshops and other things. Um, when kids are little, they talk a lot of times in black and white. But as they age, they begin to see nuance. People aren't just nice or mean. People can both be nice and mean. They begin to see sometimes you're not just starving or not hungry at all. You might just be a little bit hungry or craving a certain thing. There is a middle, there is more than one choice. And a lot of the arguments that happen on social media are people acting like either the woman's controlling or she lets him get away with everything. Either she loves herself or she's completely selfless. It's like, what happened to people growing up, to people understanding that there's more than two categories, there's more than two sides, there is a continuum of life. Life is about choices and options and multiplicity and possibility. And I just feel like we are just too old at our big age to be trying to divide people into, men are logical, women are emotional, men are masculine, women are feminine. Both men and women had two parents. That means both men and women have masculine and feminine qualities. That's duality. Why is duality so difficult for people? Why do we not understand that people have both dark and light sides? People have both good and bad traits. It's not just a good man who's all good and a bad man who's all terrible. It's not that. It's looking at a person as an individual and seeing their flaws and their positives, seeing their maturity and areas where they still need to grow, and stopping this idea that we can put a person who is complex, who has a mind, a heart, a soul, a body, dreams, goals, aspirations, mindsets, attitudes, all of that into one or the other category. And I think that's why so many people seem to have so much difficulty with relationships, because you want to boil everything down to one or the other. You want to boil everything down to simplicity. People want others to be simple. You want to be able to size people up and stick them in a box and leave them in that box when people are not boxes. They are not pegs to put into holes. People are human beings with a multiplicity of traits, a multiplicity of mindsets. And you know what? Not only do they have a multiplicity of traits and a multiplicity of mindsets, they can change at any time. When you marry a person or you get into a relationship with a person and that person is healthy and employed and has friends, and then they go through something, they lose their mother or their father or their best friend or their job or their health, that person is likely to change. Their mindset, their attitudes, their priorities, their values are likely to change. When a person becomes pregnant, that person, that woman, is going to change. When a man becomes a father, He's likely to change as a person ages. Not only their body changes, but often their minds, their moods, their values, their priorities change. This isn't some conspiracy. If we look outside right now, we are in a certain season of the year, and it shouldn't come as any shock or surprise that if we look outside 2 or 3 months from now, the season will be different. The way that nature reacts to that season will be different. Human beings are natural creatures. We change. Just like spring changes to summer, summer changes to fall, fall changes to winter. We change too. What you see in spring is often not what you see in summer, but nature is still nature. It just has changed, and it has different characteristics now. So, trying to act as if people can't change, people don't change, people are able to be put into these boxes of either or is just, it's childish, it's immature, it's not logical. And I'm beginning to think that we just have to, if we want to be taken seriously, we just have to think a little more. We have to think a little deeper because it's just too childish to act as if these are good faith arguments about people when they're not. People have multiple sides. People can even contradict themselves. People can change, and people do change. And so not realizing that is setting yourself up for failure, but it's also not giving yourself the ability to truly connect with people, because you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be confused if you don't understand that human beings have multiple sides, multiple characteristics, multiple traits, and they change. And we need to be prepared for that if we want to have relationships with people, friendships with people that are successful and effective. If we want to communicate with people, we also need to be in the habit of communicating on a regular basis so that we can grow with people, be apprised of how people are growing and changing, and adapt or separate if, we're no longer aligned with that person. So, just some food for thought. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them. Please check out my podcast, Zenergy, Zennurgy. My name is Zen Ashe. I have 5 books on Amazon, so please check those out. And I'd love for you to review the podcast. I'd love for you to review the books. Zenase is how you spell my name, and it's 2 words. So please have a great day. May you walk in Zenergy.